Seems you have yourself in something of a bind.
Your guards are rough.
What can I say? They do enjoy their work.
I'm glad somebody does, because I certainly don't.
So I see.
Where's the girl?
Elsewhere.
That's not a very forthcoming attitude.
I'm not a very forthcoming person. However, I'm hoping that you are.
I've got a fairly high tolerance for abuse. It comes from being beaten about by the likes of you for years.
Nevertheless, I will extract from you the information I require.
Well, your goons have a barrel of fun at the same time, hey?
That all depends on you.
Is your plan to bore me to death?
I rather thought you had something to tell me.
Why should I?
If you confess now, this will be much easier for both of us.
Confess to what, exactly?
Should have thought that was obvious. Your reasons for breaking into this establishment and attempting to access confidential files.
I see.
Well?
Alright. I had my reasons for breaking into this establishment and attempting to access confidential files.
And those reasons are?
Most valid, I can assure you.
Perhaps I'm not making myself entirely clear. I want information, information, information!
I get it.
Not frightfully amusing, I'm afraid.
Just trying to lighten the mood somewhat.
This is a very serious matter, believe you me! I want information from you, and I want it now! The hard way it is then. Perhaps we can do this in a more organised fashion this time around. What do you say to that?
That sounds like a splendid idea.
Very well then. Now, what's your name?
John Smith.
I see. Do you have any documentation to confirm this?
Not on me.
Of course not. And your friend?
Well, she doesn't either. At least nothing to confirm my identity.
No, I mean, what's her name?
Why don't you go and ask her yourself?
Because I'm asking you!
Her name's Jennifer Langard.
Thank you. See? It's not so hard being reasonable, is it?
Perhaps not.
Now, what are you doing in this facility?
At the moment, not a lot.
What were you doing in this facility?
Look, do you really have the right to ask me these questions? To hold me here? To throw me about the place like you have?
Of course not. But who's going to believe you?
What's your name?
Beg your pardon?
What's your name?
Raynor Vance. What's it to you?
Like you, I'd like to know who I'm talking to.
Fine. Now you know. Can we get on with it, do you think?
Who's going to believe me?
Who's going to believe what?
You asked me earlier who was going to believe me. Wouldn't you like to know?
I really don't care. Besides, it was a rhetorical question.
Was it?
Yes.
So was that.
No, it wasn't.
I didn't want an answer, so it must have been.
But the question didn't answer itself, so it can't have been rhetorical.
Fair point.
Why am I even discussing this?
I don't know. You're the one conducting the interview.
That's right. I am.
Go ahead.
And conduct the interview?
Of course. Can't wait to see the results.
Fine.
UNIT would believe me.
What?
United Nations Intelligence Task Force.
What do they have to do with anything?
They'd believe my claims that I'm being treated unjustly as your prisoner.
So?
They're based in Geneva. You know, where the convention comes from. The thing that tells us about how war prisoners should be treated.
You're not a prisoner of war, Mr. Smith.
Dr. Smith, if it's all right with you.
Are you a real doctor?
Of course.
Then it's all right with me.
They'd most likely come down on you like a ton of bricks, especially if what I was attempting to find out here would be of particular interest to them.
Suppose you'd like me to contact them for you. Let them know what we've got in our files.
If you'd be so kind, yes.
Forget it.
Quick phone call is all it takes. Look, I'll level with you. You have a pretty nasty pollutant in the water supply here. It's quite harmless in and of itself, but it's causing a chain of evaporation that's heating up the atmosphere something nasty.
And
it's not of this earth, which is why UNIT would be interested in it. If only somebody had bothered to inform them. Which I was rather hoping to do. My plan was to obtain the virus's genetic sequence from your computers and get it to UNIT so they could work out some sort of defence against it.
In that case, why didn't you just get authority from them in the first place?
To be honest, I really didn't give it a thought. I was trying to save time, which is something that's been impossible to achieve with me being locked up in here.
You really expect me to believe all of this?
Of course not, which is why you should contact those you can trust.
How's the work coming along?
It's grinding to a halt. Team Breeze militia is suddenly against the idea of using our services.
Why? They were entirely confident that our methods could end the conflict in their favour.
Don't ask me. I'm not a politician. Which is why we need to get our hands on the viral strain your insider mentioned.
Would it be of any use though? I mean, without a buyer?
We'll have the buyers soon enough. Just look at the effect this thing's had on this city's waterways already. If it can bear down on climate control on this scale in an isolated case, imagine what it could do to a larger target. Agriculture would go up the spout, as would tourism, commercially sponsored sport.
That doesn't sound like much.
I've looked into it. The economic repercussions would actually be quite extreme.
In that case, what's stopping the buyers from coming in their droves?
Your insider. They need proof that we've controlled the virus before they'll decide to stake a claim.
I'm working on it. She needs to get in there and back out again without leaving a trace.
It was easy enough for you to hack in and get the particulars before you contacted her. I really don't see what the problem is.
That was a simple sweep to get through the security protocols. To get the genetic information, we need to dive in there and stick around for a while.
Then get a physical sample.
Too dangerous. We don't know what effect that genetic stuff will have on human tissue in concentration.
Well, find out. I'd rather have a sample anyway. Who's to say how reliable their genetic scan was in the first place?
I'll talk to her, but I doubt she'll like the idea.
And make her like it. Offer her a financial incentive. That way she won't have to answer to the fact that a sample's missing.
And we can afford this? I thought you said things were tight.
We can afford to make her believe it. I'd rather you kept her quiet in a more permanent way than have to buy her silence.
I hope the sale you get from this thing is worth the price you're putting out obtaining it.
Considering that all we need is a single cell from which to clone the virus, I should think so. Besides, it's always worth the price. For us.
You'd think they would have given Vance a bigger office.
I imagine this is all a security man needs. It's perfect for disorientating interviewees, don't you think?
You sound as if you enjoyed the notion.
Certainly not. I hate interrogations. I'm glad it's all over. Did I check out okay?
After a fashion. Is there something wrong with good old-fashioned photo ID?
Well, when it comes to my involvement with UNIT, a good old-fashioned password is sufficient.
How quaint.
So we're on equal terms now?
Oh, absolutely. And I must apologise for the treatment you both went through.
I'm sorry.
Not at all. It just proves you were doing your job, isn't that right?
Doctor!
You probably thought we were here to steal the genetic information on that virus, isn't that right?
Absolutely. See, it's the sort of virus whose effects could be used in or manipulated to be used in germ warfare. As a result, it was under top security.
What? You and your lads? We got past them in a heat.
The illusion of liberty, Jenny.
Precisely, Doctor. The best way to protect something important is to convince everybody that it's not important at all.
Or to convince them that it's not there at all, by making it seem like security hasn't been stepped up.
Of course, there was always the risk of a mole or of somebody making their way into the computer network. So we've kept things tight, very close to the data itself.
Which is why you caught us.
Which is why we caught you, yes.
In that case, please allow us to offer our services. Microbiology just happens to be my field of expertise, and the doctor here is equally qualified.
Yes, with unit backing you, a breakthrough should be imminent. They can give you people, equipment, facilities, the lot. Then the virus will no longer pose a threat.
So, we've got a suspect. What? A microbiologist working with the substances who made an attempt to steal a sample. You're joking! I'm serious, sir.
This is exactly what I was talking about, Mr. Vance.
I understand your concern, Doctor, and I share it. Perhaps our suspect can offer us a lead that will help ease the immediate pressure that her and associates have put on us.
Here. About to drive off. Alright, bring her up here. What's her name? Mona, sir. Louise Mona. Who are you working with, Manal?
I'm not telling you a thing!
You don't do this a lot, do you, Louise?
No.
Let her go. You don't want to make this worse on yourself than you already have.
No.
Tell us who you're working with.
You mean plea bargain?
In a manner of speaking.
What did they offer you? What? You must have known you'd be throwing your career away by doing this. What did they offer you? How much? 3 million? I wonder who'd have that kind of money to throw around.
I can think of a few names. Shouldn't take too long to figure out who the right one is.
I don't know who it is. I really don't. I work through a contact.
Well, can you introduce us? After that, you're free to go, without a single blemish on your record.
I can't offer that, Doctor, and you know it.
No, but the courts might. First offence and all.
You really think so?
It's a distinct possibility.
Well, I was going to meet him today. So if I could get the sample to him...
We'll set up a sting.
Meanwhile, Jenny and I are on your scientific team. We need to develop this antitoxin as soon as possible, and today's events have shown us that we have very little time.
I'm sure the team will be glad to have your help.
There's one more thing. I mean, about the rendezvous.
Go on.
I need to take the sample with me.
No way. No.
But if I don't show that within the first 15 seconds that I have the goods, he'll know that I'm not for real.
She's right. She's got to have the sample with her.
You do realise what will happen if your associates get their hands on the sample.
Which is why you have to make sure that they don't.